Let's get ready to rumble.
Yes, we're back. It's episode 121 of the Hibs Ramble. Yes, and we're back with another victory to talk to you about this week. This time, it's Hearts who came calling and Hearts who left. We fuck all. 2-1 to Hibs in the third Edinburgh Derby of the season. Continuing Neil Critchley's search for 3 points at the hands of Hibs and extending David Gray's unbeaten run against Hearts as manager of Hibs. With me this evening is the wonderful Mr. Craig Leach, who I'm aware had a skinful yesterday, so might not remember an awful lot about the game, but we'll try our best tonight. Craig,
no, it was fine, mate. I just had a couple after the game, and then cracked a nitro surge when I got in. So,
things you love to see.
Yeah, no, good, mate. Good. Obviously, it's a lot better with the week that we've just had. Probably a surreal week in terms of being a Hibs fan, but really, really good.
I think if you'd said to anyone at the start, before we'd played Celtic, that we were going to get 9 points out of 9 for these 3 games, and they would have said, "You're fucking dreaming, mate." But here we are, 9 points richer at the end of 3 very, very tough games. That I think a lot of us probably would have been happy with 4 points. But listen, 9 points, it's not to be sniffed at. We're on an incredible run of form. And like I said earlier on, Hearts were the latest team to come knocking, and they got told to, in the nicest way possible, get yourself to absolute fuck.
Yep.
You jobbers. So, we'll jump right into it, will we?
Let us do, mate. Let us do.
Before we talk about the game itself, Craig, I kind of want to ask you about your kind of Derby Day traditions, your superstitions. Have you got anything that you like to do on Derby Day that's different to any normal game?
Not anymore. Nah. I used to when I was younger. I used to play, because my granddad lived on Gorgie Road. So before derbies, I used to put speakers at the window, open his windows, because he was on the top floor as well, so nobody would have knew where it was coming from. He stayed right opposite Stratford's. And I just used to play Hibs Heroes on repeat. For
home derbies as well?
If we were going to Easter Road, obviously we used to be able to leave at like fucking 2:20 to get to Tynecastle. But that's it. Since being older now, no really. I try not to, like, I'm a bag of jaggies anyway before these games. And I just, even on Sunday there, I literally got up, went for a shower, took the dugout, and then went for the train.
Well, I was a bag of nerves as well. I mean, I think I put on a very good show on the podcast last week when I said that we were going to beat them 3-4-9. Because internally, I was a massive ball of anxiety. I actually said it to Megan. It was maybe Saturday night or something, and because I'd been going on about it all day, and I was like, "Oh fuck! See if they fucking beat us tomorrow, I'm going to be fuming." And she was like, "Why are you so anxious about this? It's like you'll be fine. You went 14 games unbeaten." I went, fucking hell, Megan, come on, play the game, son.
I think because I know there's a few years between us, but you're probably at the tail end of the generation that knows what it's like in these games. Whereas you've got the younger folk, maybe in their teens now, maybe approaching their 20s, who by and large, as you kind of start to like understand football and go to the football, it's been pretty, there'll be times where it'll have been pretty even, apart from obviously the cup final in 2012, but it seems that the younger ones didn't have the same, like, it's the first thing I done when I got up and went to the toilet was empty myself. Like,
I'm nervous, shite. I had to do one of them, I know.
It was like I'd been on the bevy and had a kebab and a curry the night before. No, that I didn't want to go too graphical, but
I think I did have a kebab the night before, and that maybe played a part.
Yeah, we're sort of the last kind of generation that follows the ones older than us, that know what it's like to go into these games as the form team and turn up and we're the ones leaving Easter Road or Tynecastle with our pants at our ankles.
I
So
think we kind of summed it up really well last week. Is that historically it's always been kind of difficult for us in these derbies because we've always tried to rise above the level of making it a scrap, making it a fight,
yeah,
and try to be, the footballing team.
mm-hmm.
But I think now that Hibs managers have definitely sussed out that that's not always going to work. You're going to need to have a plan B if that doesn't work, and I think we saw that on Sunday. So going into the game, we had two changes from the side that started at Tannadice against Dundee United, with Kukarevich dropping out for Kieran Bowie, which we expected, and Lewis Miller coming out and being replaced by Chris Cadden, which I didn't really expect, but I was quite welcome to the change because I really like the Caddens on either wing. Was it any surprise to you, those two changes, or would you have made any more?
Nah, I think we called it on Thursday with Bowie in for Miko. And then the other one I think we said was probably going to be in the sort of right wing back area. I think Cadden in these games gives you a lot more energy up and down the flank. Obviously,
A little
Nicky's
bit more
the
technical ability as well, I think.
yeah. He's not as good a crosser as what his brother is, but he's
Mm-hmm.
also nowhere near as bad as what's made out. So if the game plan was to get the ball out to the wings as quickly and as efficiently as we could to get balls in the box, Cadden was the right choice for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And another bit of team news is that we saw Eli Yuan back in the matchday squad for the first time since Boxing Day, which was positive. I wasn't expecting him to get on, which he didn't. But it's good to see that he's back in and around the squad. And what was more telling for me, Craig, is when he went to go and do his first warm up, the ovation that he got from the crowd and what he was giving back to the crowd. And I know it's only clapping the fans, and I'm probably reading too much into it, but his hands were above his head, and it looked like he was really appreciative of the applause that he was getting from the support. So I think
Yeah, I was going to
there's
mention that actually because it usually they kind of start jogging, they do a wee clap, they get to the corner, they clap again, and then as they come up the famous five, but they kind of clap there.
mhm.
Whereas I noticed that as well, that it's almost for the second he left the dugout, he was just like sidestepping, applauding. And that obviously everybody knows what is rumoured around Ellie in terms of he wants to leave and all that sort of stuff. And, maybe if we're not on the run that we're on, he doesn't get as good an ovation as that. And on the flip side, he probably doesn't give it back.
Mhm.
But I think it's just more to test, it's just more sort of to sort of solidifies that even these guys that haven't been in the squad and for whatever reason one or another are still very much part of it.
I think you just need to
Um,
look at Nathan Mariah Welsh as a prime example
yeah,
for that as well.
100%, mate. Yeah,
Yeah, so I mean, it's definitely good news for us going forward into these last run of games coming in towards the split. We've got 4 league games and obviously the cup game at Parkhead on Sunday. But it's good that we've got now Yuan back. Maybe a different sort of dimension going forward. If a game needs changed, you know that he's got the quality, and I think a player like Yuan probably walks into 10 of the 12 teams in the Scottish Premiership this
yeah,
season. So it's definitely a good problem to have if you're David Gray with the amount of attacking options that we've got now. When you think about when the window shut at the end of January, we were sitting here thinking we maybe could have done with another striker or another winger.
hmm
Now we're sitting here thinking, oh well, we've got plenty.
yeah. I think when you look at the squad depth as it was on Sunday as well, and you factor in, Rudy wasn't in the matchday squad, Ekpateta
Mm-hmm.
missed out on the squad, Joe Newell's injured. I think it kind of justifies the club's, I don't know if you want to call it inactivity in the January window because we've not actually, all you're doing is, we like Malcolm Mackay referenced in his Hibs TV interview, we got out the sort of bloatedness in terms
Yeah.
of Doyle Hayes, Harry McCurdy, Nohan Kennett, etc.
Mm-hmm.
All we would have been doing is re-bloating that same squad.
Yeah,
And I
I
think it's clear
completely
that Gray probably values the team spirit that's there just now and didn't want to split. I think Alassane Amani's a clear signing now, bed him in to get him ready for next season.
Mm-hmm.
It would have been pointless us bringing in somebody for who's going to impact us now, because I don't think there would have been that much out there. And the last thing you want to do is bring in a lone player as well that's maybe going to upset the
Aye,
environment. So
I think that's the main thing, is that I don't think. I mean, we can sit here and talk till the cows come home, but because it's all hypothetical. But how realistically in January, how many players were out there and available and wanting to come to Hibs that would have came in, improved us, and hit the ground running? There's too many variables there, and I don't think it was necessary. And I we're kind of getting off topic a little bit here, but I completely agree with you. And we look at the state of the squad now, and we're in a much better place than and that's with the same personnel. We're in a much better place than we were in the middle of November. You know what I mean?
I
So
mean,
it's all about.
We started this run with quite a few injuries as well.
Mm-hmm.
And you think that since sort of that Boxing Day, since the Boxing Day win against Hearts, we've been without Ellie for an extended period of time. We've been without Joe Newell for an extended period of time. Kieran Bowie wasn't back yet.
Ekpateta was still out.
Ekpateta was still out. Miko was out. So we were, there was games during that period where we were starting where I think there was I'm probably wrong, but there was probably a game we started with Hoylett and Gale up front.
Mm-hmm.
Or, even Boyle and Hoylett, two guys who typically aren't out and out strikers. So the squad's in a much better place now that all the injuries are back, and the fact that we keep winning. I know folk will say, "Oh, but if we weren't on this run," but you can't. We are.
Well, we are.
You can't talk hypothetically like we are on this run. So it's justifying the club's outlook in January to not go hell for leather. People said that, "Oh, we need this to go for third." Well, we didn't do it, and we're sitting third now. So
exactly. So we'll get back to the game, and it was a very, very fast start. And I think, for all the chat that's been going on about that Hearts dominated the first half and stuff, and I think for the most part they dominated the ball, and I think their off the ball work was very good as well. Kind of nullified our threats and what we wanted to do in the first half. But we started it really well. A really nice ball, a searching ball from Jack Iredale. And it probably wasn't meant for Martin Boyle, but regardless, Boyle gets on the end of it. I feel like it's Gerald Taylor makes a bit of an arse of it, but I think Steinwender's a little bit to blame as well, because he's been dragged so far out of position with the ball moving into midfield and then going back out to Iredale. Ball over the top, it kind of ends up at Martin Boyle. Gerald Taylor's blindsided. It's really, really good, strong physical play from Boyle to get himself into the position, and then a wonderful finish as well to top it off.
Yeah, I don't know what you... I mean, I've tried to kind of look at it back on the footage. I don't know if it's just where I sit in terms of how it actually looked. I don't know if you feel like this, but see when Iredale's clipped the ball and it looks like Cadden's going to run onto it, I don't know if it catches, if a gust of wind catches it, but the ball just seemed to travel so far, so quick. Like, it's not even as if Iredale put a lot on it. It's one of the typical
I think
ones
it maybe just had a bit of swerve on it.
Clipping it down the line, but the pace that the ball ended up, and I think without obviously being too kind to Taylor for Hearts, I think he's just completely caught out by the speed and the sort of way the ball actually ends up.
Mm-hmm.
Because like you say, it is a clip down the line, but Iredale seems to have caught it perfectly in terms of getting some swerve on it. So it's almost like when it hits the deck, it just fucking goes.
Yeah.
And it ends up at Ball's feet. And you have to say, it's for what was an incredibly narrow angle. I know I'm not going to blow smoke up his arse, but we've seen him be fucking Superman in these games too many often. You need to be beating somebody like Craig Gordon for there. You need to be.
I mean, he's about 3 yards. He's about 3 yards for the touchline,
and Boyle hits it perfectly, just inside that sort of gap between Gordon's shoulder, and he has to hit that perfect. If he hits that an inch either side, it doesn't end up going in.
I think it's kind of testament to where Boyle is at the moment, no, Craig, because at the start of the season he couldn't get into the team for love nor money, and now he's coming off he's scoring his 13th goal of the season, and it feels like he's really only been in the team properly since halfway through, since we started on our good run. But it's a wonderful goal. But if you're a Hearts fan, you're maybe a little bit miffed about Craig Gordon's starting position as well, or do you think that then is also down to how awkward and weird the ball was from Iredale?
Yeah, like I say, I don't know if it's just the angle that I've got, but I felt the ball just took off as soon as it hit the ground. For that first bounce, it just went, and I don't know what that is because the pitch didn't look overly wet. I know there was a bit of wind sort of swirling round Easter Road, and I don't know if it's one of them, kind of like a golfer would say, the wind just catches it fucking perfect, and the wind's just taking it, and the spin on the ball's taking it away as well. So I think the only one who's probably alive to the fact that it could end up going like that is Boyle.
You can see, I think the ball is meant for Cadden initially, because you like on the reverse angle, especially in the one that
Cadden's chasing it.
Yeah, especially the one that Lewis Forfar did with the game. Check it on YouTube if you haven't already. When it comes over, you can see Cadden's looking at it as if this is meant for me, and then he sees he's not going to get it, and he points to Boyle as if this is yours. You go and take it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a really good ball. Whether he meant it or not, like it doesn't really matter.
Who gives a fuck?
But it's a superb finish, and I mean Boyle is just absolutely on fire at the moment. And what's better than the finish was the celebration, man. The wee boop, 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 boop. I said to my dad at the time, right? I went, "You can't be doing that 5 minutes in a derby. You can't be celebrating like that. It'll only come back and bite us."
And that's up there with the Rocky,
mate.
Running away
I was
after Gale's goal at Tynecastle,
because I seen him do something to the Hearts fans like when he was celebrating, and I was like, I'll need to watch the big screen and see what he did. And I love that. I absolutely love that for Boyle. But yeah, I said to my dad, that's going to come back and bite us on the arse, and inevitably, Craig, it did. I think testament to Hearts though, because the way that they reacted, they could have like went down and out and chucked the towel in there and then, but they didn't. It's an awkward ball in from Shankland, and I think he knows exactly what he's doing when he's trying to lob that ball in and over, because Wilson, I think, was quite a nuisance for most of the first half, and he makes himself a nuisance in between Iredale and Rocky there, who kind of get caught at sixes and sevens, Rocky, Iredale and Smith, and none of them know who's doing what or who's going for it. Rocky ends up sort of half hooking it to the edge of the area, and it's a really good finish to keep it down really from George Grant, and Hearts are back in the game.
Aye. I very much err on the side of that's the goalies all day long.
Yeah.
It's I'm of the belief that if it's in the box, that's the goalie's area. So whatever.
It's close enough to Smith as well that he can come and claim it.
Yeah, and you can see it on the replay that he goes and then kind of stops because he thinks I don't know. For me, the goalie should be coming out and claiming that, and I think that plays a part of Rocky's sort of shanked clearance because he's expected to go. They've been caught in a sort of, like you say, they've been at sixes and sevens a wee bit. And then Rocky's expecting the goalie to come for it. The goalie then doesn't come, so he's like, fuck, I need to get rid of this.
Yeah.
And just completely doesn't catch it. I don't know if I'm even being a bit too critical of Smith for the goal, because it does look straight at him. Again, is that potentially a...
I think Grant's
just the way this scenario played out, is that just, I'm maybe being too harsh on him, but it was the absolute worst thing we could have done. Especially after going ahead so early, because it just gave them a foothold right back in the game. I mean, you say they never downed tools. I mean, they did after that, because that was the only shot on target that they had during the entire 90 minutes after they
Nah,
scored.
they had after they scored.
Aye,
They had
that
the
was the
Shankland one. They amassed a dizzying 2 shots on target throughout the whole game. So, but I mean, I feel like their work in the first half, it was more just their hard work and determination to stop us from playing, which I think was more the reason why they. I don't really want to say the word dominated, Craig, because I don't feel like they did dominate. I just feel like they edged it.
I think the easiest way to describe it for me is that they dominated areas.
Mm-hmm. And the middle
They
of the
didn't,
park was definitely
yeah,
one because
they,
there was so
they
much of an overload in there.
they didn't dominate the ball. I mean, they had slightly more of the ball, but that was sideways between their back four and their midfield. The one thing that I felt that they actually done really well, and not only sort of started getting the players wound up, but getting the fans wound up as well, is that when there was a goal kick, when we had a goal kick, no one, like as soon as you know Rocky gives the ball to Smith or whatever, and then Rocky tries to bring the ball out,
They weren't pressing.
they weren't pressing at all. They were literally leaving O'Hora, Iredale, and Rocky just going in.
Yeah, you could see that
And
they
then
were comfortable with him because they knew that once we start then moving the chains, that's when it goes out to Cadden and Cadden.
Yeah, and because they play a diamond, all they were doing was, so the two, Wilson and Cabangu, instead of staying sort of on the centre half, they're positioning themselves further wide between the wing backs and the centre backs. And then you've got the Shankland, who was just kind of dropping in.
Shankland was playing sort of as a 9 and a 10.
Yeah,
They were like playing, it was like a 4-3-3 really, wasn't it? And it was like...
out of possession, they were a 4-3-3, aye. And then all that happens is, if you're able to sort of cover the areas, if you've got 3 players that can mark effectively 5 players, then you're 3 for 3 in the middle.
Yeah.
And then you've got the numbers at the defensively as well against Bowie and Boyle. And I thought for the majority of the first half, we found it really difficult to get out. Not in terms of them putting us under pressure, but I mean when we had the ball, we found it difficult to, because Mariah Welsh and Triantis, for watching them, but it can look like they're hiding a wee bit. Right?
I just don't think they had
appear.
anything.
But there was literally, I don't think there was actually many places for them to go because of the way that Hearts sort of packed that middle of the park with their midfield and Shankland, and then they had Cabangu and Wilson sort of watching the wing back areas as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I completely agree, and I think that, I mean, I said at the time, I was like, oh, Triantis and Nathan Mariah Welsh probably didn't have the greatest of first halves, but yeah, I think we were as a team pretty slow, and I think we were probably had the stuffing knocked out us a little bit when they'd equalised, and it kind of made us really, really nervy, especially at the back. And then we were kind of snatching at opportunities when we were able to get out, which made it look even worse, really. You know, but the only joy that we were getting really in the first half was big long balls over the top, and that's not really our bag. Obviously, we scored from one of them right away, but you know, at the end of the day, our game is to get the ball into the middle of the park and out to the wings.
Yeah, that's. I think there's been a lot said about Hibs being direct. I think there's a difference between being direct and going to a big physical centre forward versus looking to play balls into space for players to run into.
Yeah,
I think there's a big difference to that. And to be fair, for that first half, we couldn't really do either. Anything that was going up was coming back, and anything that actually was getting out, there was a misplaced pass, maybe taking an extra touch. And David Gray referenced that after the game. He said the first half was nowhere near where they want to be, and when he was asked why, because we didn't get the balls to the wing backs quick enough.
Yeah, and there was a couple of other incidents in the first half that we want to talk about. Obviously, the injury to Warren O'Hora. I feel Warren didn't have his best game. He looked especially nervy. Out of the 3 centre halves, he was the one that I was most worried about when Hearts were coming forward. Obviously, you don't ever want to see anyone get injured, but perhaps he would have got hooked anyway.
Yeah, I thought he, although he never done much, you could tell when they were in a foot race, he wasn't fancying himself up against Cabangu.
Yeah.
So no, and he did have a couple of shaky moments as well in terms of he went shoulder to shoulder with Cabangu at one point and ended up on his arse. And then I think he had a header or a pass that he played into the middle, and he just played it right to Hearts jersey.
Yeah.
So no, I thought maybe we'd have got taken off at half time anyway, but I thought Lewis Miller was outstanding when he came on. He's really grown into that sort of right centre back role.
Gives him a little bit of freedom, really, doesn't it? Rather than being a centre half in a 2, being a centre half in a 3, then he knows that he can maybe get forward. He's got that licence a little bit more to get forward. Yep. Obviously, we see that with Iredale a little bit later on. But no, I do agree. I thought Lewis Miller was good when he came on, and when you see O'Hora going down and you're looking at the bench, you're thinking we've not actually got a recognised centre half on the bench, so it's probably going to be Miller. But is that the best option? But obviously it was. David Gray clearly knows what he's doing, and as does Lewis Miller. Other than that, I don't want to say we were let off, but Hearts have the ball in the back of the net again with Elton Cabangu. A good ball through from Benny Beningame, who I thought was probably Hearts' best player throughout the course of the game.
With that.
A really nice ball through, and I think I was watching Sports Scene and they were saying how Shanklin's movement off the ball kind of allowed for that corridor to open up for Beningame to slide the ball through, and Cabangu latching onto it, and thankfully he's about a yard offside, but it's a good finish, and I don't want to say we were let off of one because it was clearly offside, but it was a little bit of a shaky moment.
What's even scarier is that I'm up in the famous 5 and I can see he was offside. You were near in line with it, and you put in the group chat at the time, I think he's on.
See, it was because where I am, so the Cabangu was more to my left, so I was looking across it diagonally, and it looked as if Iredale was maybe in line, and I'm thinking, fucking hell, he's on here. And I turned around, and all the people that were sat around me were going, I think he's onside. But it must have just been the angle that I was at.
Aye.
And then when I got it up on my phone, I was like, fucking hell, miles offside.
Yeah.
Nothing to worry about. But no, a good finish. What was very funny is he started celebrating.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, get a load of this fucking guy.
That was, I think a lot of people knew, obviously apart from the Hearts fans, because they started going Raj, funnily enough. But no, I could tell for where I was, it was a mile offside. And I think he would have known as well that he was also...
He got to go for it though, didn't you?
Offside. So to stand and do the celly on his own...
No one else coming.
And then turning around, seeing the flag up.
The Lino's already running back.
Aye. The Lino's done his flag, he's fucking it. But no, we never got off it. But I mean, it's one of those where I had a thought at the time thinking, fucking hell, that'll give him a wee bit of a boost. Given that he's, like you say, the movement for Shanklin to get him into the space, and the fact that he slotted, I don't know if Smith's like, I know it's offside, so I'm not going to bother going for it.
I think it's a good finish, though.
No, it is, and that's something that you kind of worry about thinking, fuck, he's slotted it. Like, regardless of the circumstances, he still slotted it, so that might give him a bit of a boost for the rest of the half, and then going into the second half, when it actually transpired that he'd done the square root of fuck all.
Yeah, I mean, we were hearing left, right and centre that Cabangu this, Cabangu that, 7 goals in 7 games. And, I was kind of expecting a little bit more from someone who's obviously a Ballon d'Or contender, but I thought, Craig, personally, that he was absolutely fucking stinking, and he couldn't get a kick all game. And if anything, Shanklin did more, and he still did fuck all. Yeah.
The only funny thing about Shanklin was the booking he got. That was fucking hilarious.
Mate, that's... like, why do that, though? Why do that?
He's clearly been grassed on as well, because the ref's back, Beaton's back was turned. So
Thing is,
either
it's
the
not like he
linesman-
could get away with it. It kicks it into the stand.
It's either the linesman or the fourth official that's went, by the way, Shanklin's just fucking booted the ball into the ground.
Mate,
And the
what's
best
going
bit
through
is-
his head?
That was a good 10 seconds after the decision's been made, the free kick. So it's not even as if it's one of those, can you get the foul and you've got the ball in your hand and you're like, fuck.
Thing is, you can
the foul
understand
gets
that if
given.
it's...
He kind of goes and walks about, and then he just picks the ball up and fucking leathers it.
You can understand that, right? If they're leading with minutes to go, it's injury time. And no, even actually, because there's balls all over, like all round the circumference of the park, so it really doesn't make any difference. But why fucking do it in the first place?
Right, bang on half time as well.
And then he has to come off and give an interview to Luke Shanley. How Tim Pot, mate. How Tim Pot.
I don't like that at all.
Woke nonsense.
Yeah, it was going back to, remember when we were supposed to have Montgomery fucking mic'd up for a derby? Thank God that never happened.
We got beat that night, did we not? That was the night that Shankland out-muscled Rocky.
Might be.
Stuck it in top bins, I think. Done fuck all since, but...
Nah.
Wee fanny. Aye, second half. Actually, Ken, what? Before we even talk about second half, I want to talk about something that happened before the game. We always moan about the Easter Road catering, but Craig, I had one of the best pies that I've had in a long time at Easter Road on Sunday.
My pie was what was served to me, and I can only describe the taste as what I would expect if I had a spoonful of lava off of Venus in my hand, because it about took the fucking mouth clean off me. But
was it good though?
I did enjoy it.
I think in games where
it's one of those where I've got it, I've sat down, I've went, oh, fuck, I should have got two.
Aye. Thing is though, that's a gamble though, isn't it? Because you could go down in 5 minutes and get another one. It would be at the end of the batch. I think I got it at the right time. The turnover of pie must have been quite high on
I got
Sunday.
mine fresh out the oven, and also got a hot dog for a bit cheaper as well, because when I went up and asked for it, I went steak pie, hot dog, and 2 Cokes, and I got served a steak pie, 2 Cokes, and a Bovril. And I said, no, she had me the Bovril, and I went,
it's not mine.
I asked for a hot dog, and she was like, oh. And then went away, clearly panicking, and she went to her supervisor, I've just sold a Bovril, it might be a hot dog, and the lassie's like, it's fine, it happens, don't worry about it. So
you don't like a Bovril?
I do, but I've got a Coke. So I'm not wanting a steak by a Bovril and a Coke.
Just take one sip of one sip of the other. Beefy cola.
Double dip in my pie.
No, I had a steak pie and a Bovril at the weekend. It was actually really good.
It's too
but
much
I think for that,
I think we're out of Bovril season now, unfortunately.
Nah, mate, I love Bovril at any time of the year.
Nah,
I never get a cold drink at the football. I'll either get a Bovril or nothing.
I needed something cold.
Unless you've got a hip flask with you, which I never do, obviously, because that's illegal.
To be fair, we did walk for Waverley to Easter Road and then up those fucking flights of stairs to get to my seat. So, as a guy in my current physique, a Bovril just wasn't going to cut it. I needed something cold.
You needed something thirst quenching. You'd have been sweating, Bovril, man.
I was fucking, mate, the sweat was pushing down my back, man. It was fucking horrible.
Oh, mate. Right, second half. We come out the traps a little bit livelier, second half, and David Gray must have spoken to them at half time and tried to get them to do, what we are good at doing and what we've been doing to win games over the course of these 15 games or so. Because when we come out, it seemed immediately as if we were utilising the Caddens on either side, and more or less right away we get a really good chance with Cadden swinging it in for Josh Campbell, who I think for a brief moment thinks he has a Heart centre half and does a
unbelievable
goal line clearance away. I think he was maybe trying to flick it on for whoever was on the outside of him without realising where he was
just
in
put too
relation to the goal.
much. He must have strained his neck muscle, a fucker, doing it though. When you watch it back, because he's tried to actually. It's just one of those. He's just got the timing wrong.
Yeah,
But no, it was like everything that Hearts done in the first half to stop us doing that.
they just stopped doing it.
They just stopped doing it. So it was the halves were a complete role reversal in terms of Hearts weren't stopping us for doing that, and the Costa Rican Cafu would have been seeing Cadden 19. He would have been going to sleep, and on his eyelids, on the inside of his eyelids, he would have seen N Cadden on one side and 19 on the other. Because all he seen was the back of Nicky Cadden's jersey.
Mate, I'm not being funny. Were they no ranting and raving about him at the start of the season?
After his first game, this guy's he's going to be the next one off the fucking conveyor belt.
Is he signed for them permanently, or is he only on loan?
Yeah, I think he's permanently.
Oh.
The other one was, who was it? Was that Salazar or something? Salazar, mind the boy that.
Was he not on loan and they sent him back?
He was like wanted by Boca Juniors and River Plate and all that. He played fucking twice for them and he's now back at.
Shows you the level that Boca Juniors and River Plate are looking at, innit?
Aye, they're obviously. It'll be different next season, obviously. Ken, they've got Tony Bloom's world-renowned leading software that's getting them class players like Steinvender and Kabangu.
And the boy off the bench. Another boy for fucking Norway or whatever.
Or Khartoum.
Aye. Shite. And Harry Milne, who we've known about for years.
Aye. He still can't get a game for them either.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, and just while we're on that, right? I never ever want to hear James Penrice in the conversation for left back / left wing back in the country ever again. Like, Nicky Cadden is so far ahead of that.
Nicky Cadden is superior, but I do think that if there were anyone who I would want to have in our team from that Hearts side, it'd probably be James Wilson and James Penrice.
That'd be Craig Gordon every fucking day of the week.
Nah, fuck him, man. Shite.
Nah, Penrice compared to Cadden.
I think Penrice is a bastard as well. Like he's one of them. He's a bastard.
He was just obviously. I didn't even know he was on Hibs books as a youngster.
Neither did I.
He was with Hibs for like 4 or 5 years, and he says it was the season we got relegated. Kevin Nisbet was with Hibs at that point as well, apparently.
Yeah,
I've seen because he said Porteous was a year younger.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's playing for a big club with a big shirt and a big badge on his chest.
No, an extra large.
And the words Jay Jackson. Okay then.
I'll phone the police on you, hen.
James Penrice, you can go on home.
I want you say no. You look a bit like Jay Jackson.
Thanks, mate. You look a bit like the Beast Boyfriend.
Craig is a beast. That guy.
Aye.
Didn't think that through, eh?
You look like him.
Oh, cheers, man. You're a handsome guy then, surely. Handsome devil. Yeah, lovely, yeah.
Right.
Do you think maybe the way that we started the second half, in terms of starting to play the way that gets us joy, and especially Cadden start like putting in a couple of really good crosses, do you think it maybe stunned him a little bit into thinking, oh, what we're doing now, what we did in the first half now isn't working? Maybe that's why they kind of changed it up a little bit, or do you think that they're just shite?
I just think they stopped doing what they were doing. Like I didn't want to give them any be overtly positive about them. However, they did completely nullify, as I felt, in the first half.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas in the second half, as soon as we got the ball at the midfield, they were just dropping off.
I wonder if that's a tweak that we made or a tweak that's been made on Hearts' side.
Well, I don't know, because
it'd be interesting to see. It'd be interesting to hear what was said in both dressing rooms at half time.
Well, Critchley came out after the game and said, "I told them at half time, just keep doing what you've been doing." And Gray said, "Get the ball wider, quicker."
All right, Critchley's team talk would have lasted about 20 seconds.
The school
I'm Neil
teacher.
Quitchway.
And I was saying, I don't know if I said it on Thursday or if I said it to someone else, but knowing that they play a diamond, if you're playing a 3-5-2, I think the 3-5-2 completely overwhelms a diamond every day of the week because you're too sort of
Not in the first half.
left. No, in theory it should. When you're in possession of the ball, it should.
Mm-hmm.
But we didn't move the ball quick enough to expose that. So they're two sort of wider centre mids who would have been Spittle and George Grant.
Beningame.
No, because I think
Beningame was a sitter.
Just sat just behind them. We didn't make them move wide enough, which meant that they were just able to congest the middle of the park. Whereas the second half, we just started moving the ball,
dragging them out, and that's where we were getting the joy because there was space.
When Jordan Smith was getting the ball, he wasn't rolling it out to Rocky or Iredale. There was one throw that he about threw it to the halfway line.
Yeah.
Just going straight for Nicky Cadder on the left, or missing out the centre halves and clipping it to Chris Cadder on the right. That's probably the difference that we were. Just I don't think it was necessarily that many tweaks. Just moving the ball quicker. That's all it was.
And there obviously was real improvement in the second half, and we'll get onto the goal. But this is what David Gray had to say about what he thought of the improvements made after half-time.
Was that your message at half-time to the players, just to show, or try and show a little bit more composure on the ball, but also to switch it out wide more?
Yeah, switches the play. Obviously, Hearts playing the diamond, you're always going to have the space in wider areas, which we've clearly seen second half we benefited from, with Nicky getting the ball and Cads getting the ball a lot more in the wider areas. But also telling the players that we can play miles better than that. We were still in the game at 1-1 without every sort of time we did create anything positively. It was a couple of moments of actual individual doing the things we're asking them to do and believing in themselves and showing the technical qualities they've got, which didn't happen enough in the first half. But second half were much more like us, much more aggressive, and I think, as I've just said, the players fully deserved it for their efforts.
I think exactly what you've just said is moving the ball quicker, and obviously the 3-5-2 in theory is going to negate a diamond, and we could see that it was definitely working. Maybe Hearts also starting to get a little bit leggy in terms of trying to do too much. Maybe they exerted too much of their energy in the first half, but it doesn't really matter what they did, because I've said this for weeks, is the only thing that we can affect is what we are doing, and what we are doing was good. So in theory, then we should go on and win the game, which we do.
There was two, when you go for the first half to the second half, there was two positives for the first half. One is that it was only the first half, and I don't think we probably could have been we could have only gotten better. And two, it was still 1-1.
Do you think that we were bad first half, or we were just ineffective? Or do you think they go hand in hand? Because I think that's two completely different things.
No, I thought we were bad. I thought, in terms of being ineffective and not moving the ball quick enough, but then when we did get the ball, we were so wasteful with it. I think David Gray touched on it after the game as well. Like he said about Triantis telling him to stop trying to play the World Cup ball. Stop trying to you didn't have to do that every single time. Just simplify it a wee bit. So, as ineffective as we were in terms of how we wanted to play, we were bad when we did have the ball.
Yeah.
Like I said, just for being too wasteful in too many areas where there was maybe a chance to go forward, and it was just we'll just turn. There was a point, I think, where Boyle got up to the corner flag, and within 3 passes it was back at the keeper. Now I'm not complaining. Sometimes, even if
sometimes when we do that, it is to move them out of position and pull them this way and that way to then get the ball back forward again.
But that seemed almost like we're doing it because there's actually nothing else.
Lackey ideas.
Going back, and it's very, very straightforward, right? But if you've got the ball, your opponent can't score.
Mm-hmm.
So even if you do have to go back to the goalie and sort of reset and go again, that's absolutely fine. But it seemed like in the first half that was just too easy an option, just to fuck it, we'll just go back.
Yep.
Sometimes you would want a Mariah Welsh or a Triantis to carry it, maybe just take it on a wee run, see what happens. Like what happened in the Celtic game when the space just opened up for Nectar to go forward and play the ball through for Campbell.
And I feel like they did really do that in the second half.
We did in the second half, yeah. Miles better in the second.
Mariah Welsh, I think, again, really, really, really good for coming into the team against Celtic. The performances that he's given last Saturday on Wednesday night at Tannadice and just yesterday again in the Derby is absolutely excellent. And again, Alassane Mane is going to be sitting on the sideline scratching his head going, why the fuck have I joined? I'll not be able to get into the team. Same with Joe Newell when he comes back from injury. He'll be hard pushed to get back into that team if Nathan Mariah Welsh is still doing as well as he is. But what impressed me as well is, Craig, is that the subs were made at the right times and the subs were the right subs. First we saw Levitt and Gale coming on, and I was a little bit disappointed seeing Nathan Mariah Welsh coming off because I thought at the time he was probably the best player in the park and he was doing an awful lot and he was getting in their faces and being a nuisance. But Dylan Levitt comes on and he just gives you an extra layer of quality. I thought he was excellent when he came on.
Yeah, his use of the ball's really, really good. I felt a bit bad for Mariah Welsh. I don't think he got taken off because he was performing poorly.
I think maybe he was knocked.
Yeah, I think, or maybe is it just a case of Gray just wanted to switch it up a wee bit because it was still obviously 1-1 at that point.
Two completely different players. Levitt gives you something that Nathan Mariah Welsh doesn't.
Yeah, the only thing you lose from Mariah Welsh, for going for sort of Mariah Welsh to Levitt, is that sort of energy and the sort of tenacity in the middle of the park that Dylan doesn't really have in his locker. But what he did, and you could see it as soon as he came on, when he was getting the ball, he was immediately looking to his right and his left. He's very much touch and move, touch and move, touch and move. I think you see that with the players that have got a lot of quality, and you see it in the Premier League every week as well. Very rarely do players take more than 2-3 touches, unless they're taking a full back on or whatever it is. Very much touch and pass, couple of touches, have a look, pass. And Levitt done that. He was really effective when he came on.
It was a level of composure that really impressed me because it would have been so easy for him to come on and not have that sort of level of composure. What I'm really looking forward to is Dylan Levitt next season. If we aren't able to get Triantis back, which I think we should go hell for leather for it, chances probably very slim.
We've got fucking no chance.
But I think that Dylan Levitt will be able to come in and not replicate what Triantis is doing, but I think he's a similar sort of player, just with a wee bit less physicality. He's got the football brain, and I think it showed clearly, like exactly what you're saying. He takes it on the half turn, and he's opening his body up. And I don't think he misplaced one pass, and it was great balls, starting attacks, sparking movements, and I was really pleased for him when he come on and he did so well.
Yeah, I think what we've seen for Triantis in the last sort of 8 to 12 weeks especially is his growth into that sort of midfield carrier. He came to us as a centre-half and then he looked like he was just going to be a 6, almost an extra layer of protection in front of that back 4 when we played it last season. Mm-hmm. And what he's now grown into is a physical box-to-box sort of number 8 kind of guy.
Yeah.
You look at his pass for Campbell and you look at his pass for Kieran Bowie on Wednesday as well. You didn't get them usually for number 6. So his sort of development in the last, since he's came back this season on loan anyway, has just been like he's one of those on Football Manager that you play him for a few weeks and all of a sudden he's a fucking wonder kid. He's just and he just looks class. So I think we'll be very, very. We'll need to be extremely lucky or extremely skint to get him back because he wouldn't come cheap. The only thing we could hope for is that Sunderland can see what we've done for him and give us another year with him.
Because you need to remember he's only 21.
Yeah. And 2 years ago 18 months ago when he joined, he was a centre-half. Mm-hmm. So he's one that I'd be looking at all costs to keep, but I think if the only way that we're going to get him back is if Sunderland fancy giving us him on loan. Yeah. Because I think if you look at it from their point of view,
he's comfortable here. He's doing really, really well here, and chances are the squad is going to be relatively the same next season. So it's then going to be more kind of cohesion for him. There's far too much chopping and changing in football nowadays, and even if they only give him till January and then bring him back in January, I mean, I think he's still going to be going on leaps and bounds. But he's got to get into the Sunderland team at some point, and they might take stock at the end of the season and think he'll do for us next year.
It depends what happens if they go up or not. If they go up, we'll have a better chance of keeping him. If he doesn't, if they don't go up, then I see next to no chance. But then at the same time, like, you need to look at these loan deals and that it's worked for both parties. It's worked for Sunderland in that they've had a developmental player for them who's went out and been exposed to first team football at a decent level. Of
course,
he's now playing. He's a major component of a successful squad. Hibs have benefited because we've seen the development of that player, and then Nectar's benefited because he's the one who's developed. So even going forward, looking at, that's another selling point for the club going into next season. If we can, if we're identifying these players who are on the cusp of Premier League / Championship, you use Triantis as an example to say, well, look, here's what we've done. Here's Nectar when he joined. Here's Nectar now. He's potentially going to be on Australian International by the end of the season as well. So that's what his second loan spell has been, one of these ones where it's like it works out perfectly. You got a player who's probably longer term going to be too good for you to keep, and you get him at a key stage in his 100%. You get him at a key stage in his development. It benefits every single party. Nectar moves on. Hopefully, his career trajectory just keeps going up and up and up, and he goes to the highest level that he can. And then we use that as a selling point for the next Nectar Triantis, whether it be a centre mid, a centre back, a left back, a centre forward, or whatever.
This is it. Because at the end of the day, we're not going to be able to keep these players forever. As much as we want to, and as much as it'd be greedy. I mean, it's their career, and at the end of the day, Nectar Triantis, you can see that boy's going to the very, very top. I think he continues the way that he goes, and
if we can hold on to third and get group stage European football, that might be like the higher up we finish in the league, and potentially on the outcome at Sunday. We could be having completely different conversations in the summer, because that lure of playing group stage European football, might be too
added
hard.
Exposure.
It could be one of those where Triantis in the summer actually goes to Sunderland and goes, look, please let me go back, because I don't want to go to fucking Oxford on a Wednesday night. I want to go to, what would be a playoff for Europa, and if we miss that, we go into the conference. Then, you look at teams in
I
the
think it depends on who wins the cup, though, as well.
Right, okay.
So I'm not too sure. I'll need to check that.
It's just a carrot that we can dangle.
Yeah.
So finishing third and getting past Celtic on Sunday is we'll go a long way to seeing what we can do in terms of business like him in the summer.
Yeah, absolutely. Just before we touch on Iredale's goal, there was a penalty shout, like kind of midway through the second half, where Nicky Cadden picks up the ball on the left-hand side, cuts inside to Gerald Taylor, and ends up on the deck. I thought at the time, stonewall penalty. I've seen it back a few times, and I've flip-flap between it's a penalty, it's no penalty, it's a penalty, it's no penalty. But I think my decision now, check complete, I think it's a penalty.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with you, mate. I think it's one of those ones where it's weird, right? I think it's a stonewaller, but I don't think there's enough for VAR to say
to get involved. Yeah,
it's one of those really weird ones where
I think David Gray mentioned that in his post-match too.
Like the Rangers one, like the one we got with Josh Campbell. It's one of those kind of, if the ref thinks it is either way,
then it is. Yeah.
There's not enough in it for VAR to say yes or no.
Yeah, no, exactly.
So, and I think with all the controversy with VAR and all that, and I know we might have been having a different conversation if we never ended up winning the game, but it's quite a wee bit refreshing to just let the referee the game.
Yeah.
And if it had been more blatant, I think he clips him, and then his hands are all over him. So it is. I know I'm kind of contradicting myself by saying it's
Cadden's
a small
got a
bollard,
fistful of his shirt as well, though. So
I mean, if VAR gets involved, they're analysing fucking every single bit of it.
yeah.
So
I think I'm completely in agreement with you. Like it's what the referee decides in that case. I think if he points to the spot, they're not going to overturn it. They clearly never overturned it when he told Nicky Cadden to get up off the deck. So, and I also don't think there was an awful lot of protestation from the Hibs players either. So it's one of them that they probably knew could go either way. I mean, I was screaming for it at the time.
Yeah, so was that. I thought it was, again, for me, it is a penalty. But I don't think it's that clear that VAR can get involved.
It's not one of these where you're thinking,
If they think it's, if whoever's in the VAR studio thinks it's a penalty, you're then calling Beaton over at the monitor. And the VAR's going, right, this is why I think it's a penalty. And Beaton's like, well, I don't think it's a penalty because they would just end up arguing with each other. Whereas
it's then the subjective nature.
Yeah, exactly. It is one of those kind of subjective ones that, again, we might have been having a different conversation if we never won the game.
If it had finished 1-1.
Yeah.
Or if it was in like the last 5 minutes and we hadn't scored yet, you know what I mean?
It is one of those that gets given either way, and if it doesn't, VAR doesn't get involved to say, actually, no, that's not a penalty. And on this occasion, they've not got involved to say, no, it is a penalty.
Yeah. And just before we talk about it, let's hear the thoughts of the gaffer on what I think will probably go down as the greatest Edinburgh Derby goal to have been scored.
Jack Iredale scored an absolute belter for the winner. He's not going to live that one down, is he?
No, he'll remember that for the rest of his life. I was right behind it, fortunately right behind it. It's a really, really good strike, and it needs to be from that distance to beat a goaler like Craig Gordon, and it was right in the top corner, right inside the post. So I think a brilliant strike and very fitting to win a derby, that's for sure.
Great strike. It really was, wasn't it? And I said to you before we come on air that in the angle that Lewis Forfar caught, you can see me in the background, and I'm celebrating before the ball hits the net because I think I've got a very similar view to David Gray on it because I sit not that far from the dugout, so we'll have seen it at a similar angle, and you could see it was going straight in as soon as it leaves his foot. But just before we talk about the strike itself, I mean, it comes again with the danger from Nicky Cadden out left, and it's a good ball in and half cleared by Hearts, and he's picked it up really nicely. And Lawrence Shankland, no picking him up, but talk us through what you saw when Iredale hits it.
I think, is it Levitt that actually initially plays the ball out to Cadden?
I think so, yeah.
It was either Levitt or Triantis, one of the two, and I think it just goes that move is testament to what we were saying, that we got the ball out wide quicker.
Mm-hmm.
And then Cadden's in acres of space to deliver. Probably one of his poorer deliveries, I'd say.
I mean, well, in by his standards, but it was still heading to the near post, and I think if Gale managed to get a clean flick on it, it was probably going in as well.
Mm-hmm. Aye, and then it's just one of those where you've seen it sort of what you were saying about Lewis Miller coming on. I think it gives Lewis Miller coming on not only gives him the freedom to go forward, it also gives Iredale the freedom to go forward as well.
Yep.
You know, you're not if O'Hora had still been on, he's not going to go forward like what Miller is. So Iredale probably naturally doesn't go forward as well. Whereas the pair of them can kind of go off each other, knowing that if one of them goes, the other one will sit. Whereas if O'Hora was still on, it would just solely be Iredale. It was one of those, mate. It went in slow motion. I think if Shanklin's not on a booking, he probably wipes him out. But he
could do so much more though.
Yeah,
I think if I was of the Hearts persuasion, and you're looking at that, that's your captain. That's your captain that's not doing anything about that, and it's not as if like, what am I trying to say here? Like, that's still a danger. Whether he hits it or he tries to clip it to the back post, or whatever, tries to stick it in the mixer, that ball is still a danger at the edge of the area, and he completely gives up on
Yeah.
trying to claim it when there's no one else in front who's closing down.
It was quite similar to obviously
Pathetic.
not the same kind of goal, but when you look at Nisbet's goal when we beat them at Easter Road, when I think it was Humphreys just completely let Nisbet run off him.
Mm-hmm.
Like that,
Yeah.
just complete lack of doing anything to stop them getting contact with the ball. And I think it's really fitting for somebody like Jack Iredale, because while we've been on this run, sort of you tend to get your, it's your forward players that steal the glory a wee bit. You've got Gale has his moment at Tynecastle, Bowie has his moment at Tannadice. You've got Rocky's moment against Aberdeen, Rangers, and Ayr. Nicky Cadden's involvement
Moment against everybody
in all of this. Even Chris Cadden being involved, Boyle getting his goal on Sunday. We're getting the Triantis's ball to Campbell. They're all kind of getting their moment to shine a bit. And I thought it was, especially for the sort of even the short term journey that Iredale's been on while he's been at Hibs, and that he couldn't get a kick when he first came in.
Yeah.
And then again, it's by circumstance he's got into the back three. When we first went to the back three against Dundee United, the game that we lost, we were comfortable until the red.
I thought he was good, by the way, when he came on.
And he was absolutely fine. And then obviously he gets the chance against Aberdeen to start, and he's never looked back. And you can just,
I think a lot of people have given him a lot of plaudits for the way that he defends, though. David Gray described him as like a proper footballer, like body on the line, giving everything for the badge.
We speak often, right, about characters and what it means, right? And the phrase that we say is people who get it. So you go back and you look at somebody like Marvin Bartley. He got it.
Mm-hmm.
Jack Iredale gets it.
Yeah.
You can just see
I think a lot of players in this team are starting to get it.
Yeah. And you can tell that he's just loving playing for Hibs.
Yeah.
Like the way he celebrates clearances and tackles, and even the way he celebrated his goal as well was just...
He was in complete shock. Brilliant. I think everybody else was as well.
Well, you see the photo that Hibs put out, Campbell's like that. Campbell can't believe what he's seen.
I couldn't believe it either.
But it was going to take something like that, I think, to win it for us. And I know Nectar got the man of the match, but I thought Iredale
was brilliant.
He was, I thought, minute 1 to minute 90.
Gets a goal and an assist, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I mean, for their second half performances, you probably could have picked anyone. But I think for what he gave throughout the whole game, and the fact that he got the winner, I thought Iredale probably should have picked up the man of the match award as well. But
it's good when you're arguing about who the man of the match should be.
This is it, mate. This is completely it. I just kind of going back to the goal. It's obviously going to take something very, very special to beat Craig Gordon from that angle. We know the quality that Craig Gordon's got, and especially how he turns it on in derbies. But Craig, my question to you is, who's he waving at?
I asked you that, mate. I asked it in every single chat I think I'm in. I don't know if he's, has he maybe got a family member in these?
Spotted someone,
and he's just wanting to give him a quick wave, because he was getting fucking nowhere near that strike. And Iredale's caught it perfectly as well. He's not caught it on the, it's not a straight volley either. It's a looping one. So when I watched when it happened, right, and I've seen it go in, I've thought, fucking hell, he's hit that with some force, and it's actually almost hit the back of the actual back of the net.
Yeah.
And when you watch it, it near enough hits the bottom half of the bottom part of the post.
Mm-hmm.
But because he's got the dip on it for the way that he's hit it, Gordon's got absolutely no chance.
It was that goal will live with me for a long time because of where I was right behind it.
Yeah.
Such a good hit. I think probably people that are sitting around where I was sitting have the best view of that. In terms of like, and I know that it's like cliche. Oh, as soon as it leaves his foot, you know exactly where it's going. There's only been a select few moments in games that I've ever been to where I've felt like that, and that was one of them. In terms of, it sat so nicely for him. It was such a nice bounce. It was right in his stride.
He didn't even have to think as well. He didn't. Like, there was no. It's not even as if it was one of those where it was a lower bounce, where he could have killed it and then clipped it into the back post. The only option he had was to hit it.
Yeah.
And I knew you're saying because you're right behind it, you can see it. But that's just one of the ones that you know. Like, I knew as soon as it left his foot, it was going in.
Yeah.
And it was
amazing goal. Amazing goal.
Yeah.
I mean,
and I think what a difference it makes as well, having to how it looks visually, where block 7 in the standing section,
the way that he goes round, football aesthetics,
and you just see so the limbs. Very rare. I know Mark was saying about the limb. Mark and Sean were telling us about the limbs at Tannadice on Wednesday, and it's very rare. We got limbs when Boyle came back and equalised. But I think that Iredale goal, when it's a goal like that as well,
it was limbs for the opener as well.
Yeah, but I think the limbs are even better when it's a better goal.
Aye, yeah, you're absolutely right. You get a louder cheer. I was going mental. Like, I was going mental, and then I was just kind of like, because I knew that it was Iredale that had scored.
Yeah.
And I was like, yes, we've scored. And then I had to take a beat, and I was like, what the fuck have I just seen? I was like, he's a centre-half. He's got no right to even think about hitting it for there.
It's not just that. It's the reaction of everybody in the stadium when they started replaying it on the big screens.
Aye.
And they showed like 4 or 5 different replays. Oh, every time. No, it was good and well deserved.
Yeah, no. I think if there's a goal to win any game, that's the way to do it. And yeah, all credit goes to Jack Iredale. I think he's been absolutely first class since he's come in, and just exactly what you said. He gets it. He feels like he's a Hibby. Mm-hmm. That's what it feels like to me.
That'll be a wee quiz question for years to come. Name the only derby where 2 Scottish-born Australians scored.
Exactly, aye. And an Englishman called Horgy.
Yeah. Aye.
I feel like we saw the rest of the game out pretty comfortably. Like we said earlier on, Hearts never really had a sniff. The only thing that they could muster up between then and the end of the game was a P-roller from Neuenhoff that goes wide of the post. But what's funny about that is Smith's dramatic dive after it goes out.
Aye. They had a couple of corners not long after it, I think. One that they put right on top of Smith. And again,
Felix Smith was very comfortable second half. There was a lot that he came for.
Testament to him, because obviously, like I said, for the first goal I felt he should have came and got it. But second half he dealt with anything that sort of came his way. But I will say, I seen somebody asking his mum on Twitter, what height is he? There's no way he's 6'1".
That's the same height as me. I don't think he's as big as me. I've always thought that he's a bit wee for a goalie.
Aye.
But it's not about the size, but what you do with it.
Aye, exactly. But then I don't know if it's just because you never actually see these guys side by side. Like, I mind when Aston Villa came up, and you see Ollie Watkins on the telly, and he just looks like a wee physical, he looks like a wee sort of pacey striker, and then you see him up front in person, you're like, he's actually a fucking monster of a guy physically.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's my vantage point in the FF Upper kind of distorts how they look.
Yeah, maybe it is because you're so high up in it. Yeah. And just before we jump on to listener questions, Sunshine and Leith again for the second home game in a row. I know you said after the Celtic game that it should be completely reserved for cup wins and derbies. I thought it was great against Celtic, but it takes it to an absolute next level when we play Hearts. And I actually, on Saturday when we beat Celtic, I was a bit emotional, but kept it together. And then when the final whistle goes, and feels like it took ages for Barry to play it. But when
I think, do you know what? I think for once they were actually just letting the crowd soak it up a wee bit, because I noticed him in the centre circle. They kind of let it go on for a wee bit, and then he was like motioning up to the, I think the control rooms in the
away stand,
away stand, and he was like thumbs up as soon as the players started to kind of congregate. And I do like this new thing where
it's the togetherness. I love it.
This new sort of standing in front of the East Block 7 must be fucking raging. They've moved now.
Mate, it makes for such a good photo.
Yeah, well, it's our mate Callum said it last week. There's your they'll be hastily redrawn the season ticket promotional material now.
They will have had it all made up.
Aye, and it'll all be getting scrapped because of that. But it just goes to show you the only gripe I've got with it, and I know it's his own choice, is that David Gray wasn't up there with the players.
He was still in the centre circle though with his staff.
Yeah,
I think he realises that that's the players that have got them through that.
He's spoken about it a number of times that he hates the spotlight and the limelight, right? I totally get that. But for me as a fan, aesthetically, I would have wanted him involved with it, because the victory was just as much his as it was the players.
Did you see him, sorry, after Iredale's goal?
No.
David Gray celebrate. I've never seen David Gray as animated as that. No, even when he scored in the cup final.
Can you see it in a clip? Is there any clips of that?
No, I've been desperate to look for it. But anyone who's in the West Lower might have seen it. He
did actually say after the game when he got interviewed that
he runs right along the touchline. He runs right along the touchline till more or less he's in line with me. Him and Liam Craig and Samson and like half the subs. And they're standing in front of the West and they're just getting it like a fucking... I just punched the telly. They're just getting it fucking yes! And I was like in disbelief that I'd saw that. And then I was like, what the fuck's David Gray doing? And then, but you could see that the emotion and the outpouring of fucking just like everything that was pent up in that first half and the second half when you think, oh, we're going to get a goal, we know. And then it just all releases and it all flows out of you. And I love seeing your manager show that emotion. I also love seeing David Gray remaining so calm, because I think that's where a lot of our success comes from, the fact that he doesn't let his emotions take over.
Yeah.
Or that's what we see anyway. But
he said it so many times, and the players say it as well. When the good times are good, he doesn't get too high, and when the bad times were bad, he never got too low. He stays extremely level. And we're just, I'm almost a bit like
we're riding a wave at the moment. Yeah. We just need to enjoy it while it's lasting.
It's one of them, and even now you're looking at the cup next week with supreme confidence because we've just beaten them.
Exactly.
There is that fear that you're like, oh, fuck, we've poked the bear now and we're going there.
Just annoyed.
But we poke the bear and we go there with 750 fans usually.
Aye.
We're looking like on course that we're going to take a full 7,000.
That's incredible, by the way, if we manage to sell the 7,000.
And there's no way that they'll sell out their end. Not a fucking chance.
I think Sean hit the nail right on the head when he tweeted out a couple of when the 7,000 got announced that this could be this generation's Ibrox
smoke. Aye, that's one that still lives with me to this day. Like that was incredible. I mean, I'm sitting in the upper tier as well. It's a nice wee new experience sitting in the.
I don't know where we're sitting. I can't mind. We're all going through early on the train. We've got a boozer booked near the station, and we'll head through. But I'm looking forward to it. But before we talk about Celtic on Sunday, we've got some listener questions to answer.
Now it's time to answer the Hibs Ramble listener questions.
Okay, first off, John McIntosh says, "What's for dinner, and what's that fat fuck Shankland having for dinner?"
I had steak pie and chips.
Oh, I love that. I don't know what I'm having. I spent most of the afternoon building a new bed for my wee girl, so I don't actually know. I think, don't quote me on this, Craig. It might be a mixture of freezer stuff, which I fucking love that, man. Like chicken,
Can it be?
chips,
Oh,
fish fingers, shit like that.
need some spaghetti hoops on that as well.
Don't know if I've
do you
got
know what
spaghetti hoops.
Do you know what I love? Right, I love just a plate of chicken dippers, like a mountain of dippers on a plate and just covered in spaghetti hoops.
You know what I like? I like the spaghetti hoops and sausages that you get out of the tin.
But you only get like 4 sausages.
I know, and the sausages aren't even sausages. They're just like, you don't
Aye.
even know what they are, but they're so good.
No, aye. And what is that fat cunt Shankland having? Well, I don't think it'll be ink for a pen for a new contract for a start. Don't know. He seems like the kind of guy who would have went home last night and got like a. What's the shitest supper you could get for the chippy? What do you think? Like a.
Like white pudding.
I was going to say a white pudding, but I know white pudding's quite a popular one with the older generation. What about a mince pie supper, right? With just salt. That's what he probably would have had.
Aye.
And I love a mince pie supper. But
How does he just look like Beavis and Butthead, though?
I know. His forehead size to hairline, and I'm the last person that can really talk about hairlines given what nest I've got on top right now. But I'm trying to think, what is a fucking boring thing for the chippy?
Just a boxy salad.
A hamburger roll with just salt. Because you get a chip roll or you get a hamburger chip roll.
Aye.
Nobody gets a hamburger roll. Or one of the cheese burgers.
Or
One of them.
like a rump steak,
Aye.
not battered, overcooked, sat under the hot plate for ages.
He definitely gets a prime cut of fillet steak well done.
Yeah. Aye.
He has
probably
steak
gets
well
3 or
done.
4 given by the size of his belly.
Yeah.
Not looking very trim, wee Lawrence.
He's not.
No, he's not. Next up, Liam Riley says, "Do you think we'll ever get bored of losing?" I'm going to stick my neck on the line and say no.
Bored of losing.
Sorry, I've read that wrong. Bored of not losing. I've butchered that.
Yeah. I was going to say if it's Liam Riley, then you probably haven't butchered it. That's probably what he said.
No, Liam Riley is absolutely. Although he spelt losing as loosing.
Oh. And he also buys his monster off a TikTok shop, but we'll move past that.
Yeah, he buys his monster off a TikTok shop, and he buys his trainers at the Skechers shop.
The cheap one in MacArthur Glen as well.
The Skechers outlet.
Skechers outlet. Nah, you can't be bored of this, mate. Like I said on Thursday, this team is incapable. This team right now just doesn't know how to lose. And I think the great thing is that when this run inevitably comes to an end, because it will at some point, the mentality of both the squad and the support won't be, oh fuck, here we go. I genuinely think it'll be, let's fucking go again.
Yeah.
Yeah. The momentum that we've generated in this last sort of 15 games overall, and I mean, even you look at the unbeaten one.
Think about that, 15 games.
But even then, we've only lost 1 in 18.
I know.
And that was it.
And it was at Celtic.
That's incredible.
Ken, what I looked at the table, and because someone put it in our group chat yesterday, we've only lost 8 games all season.
Aye, and
8
that was
games,
and that was within the first fucking 14 games of the season as well.
That's a madness.
Yep.
And we're like, and I feel like people are, certainly pundits are looking at Hibs like they're going, oh, they're doing really well. They've really turned it around. We've turned it around, but when you look at it, like as a whole, we've been good for the majority of the season. Like,
if you look at the run as well, we're in that run, we have been unbeaten against Aberdeen.
Aberdeen twice, Hearts twice, Celtic and Rangers.
And let's not get thingied either. Aberdeen, Dundee United and Hearts, we've beaten them, all three of them, we've beaten them away. And we beat them away convincingly, I'd say. So, it's honestly, mate, I look back to how I felt after that Dundee game, and I still feel at the time some of the things I said were valid. Based on what we've seen.
I don't think anyone can see that coming, though.
Not one person, right? I don't care what anybody says, right? Not one person seen this coming. No one. So the concerns that we had at the time, I still feel, based on what we'd seen, were valid. But what they've managed, what David Gray and his coaching staff and this squad have done in that period of time for that Dundee game until now is nothing short of remarkable. Mm-hmm. And regardless of how the season pans out, I think that the journey they've taken us on, from where we were to where we are, and the scalps that we've taken along the way, with a mass, when would you ever see us taking a crowd like this to
Parkhead?
Demanding
7,000.
Aye, and not even just that, the club saying, give us the fucking tickets, we'll pay for them.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? So that it almost seems as the players and the coaching staff have managed to turn it round and start this sort of momentum train, the club are now getting behind it as well.
Yeah, and you can feel that as well. Like even
the Gordons last week saying that they're going to put this 7 million loss that we've made. They're effectively saying, we fucked it, we'll cover it.
Yeah, and like on a personal level for us as well, like the chats that we have with Adam and Gav, who are on the media team, you can just tell that they are absolutely loving it. Like, they're loving life at the moment. Yeah. And obviously it's better when you're winning, and it's easier when you're winning. But winning games of football is the hardest thing that you can do.
Block 7 just need to keep that banner upside down, because we've no fucking lost since they've done it.
Mate, that's incredible, by the way.
Keep that banner upside down.
Do you think that's why it's still upside down?
No, it'll still be upside down because Malcolm Mackay and Ian Gordon are still there. So
we'll keep it upside down.
Yeah, Block 7, if you're listening, which I think we know you are, please, that display was quality as well.
Yeah, exactly. We didn't even talk about that. The display was brilliant.
And also, props to them as well, because you could see it on the telly on Sky because I came back and I put it on when I got in. You could see them tidying up in the stand behind them. So for all the negatives that Block 7 get, regardless of whether you think it's merited or not, fair fucks to them for that display on Saturday.
And I tell you what, the atmosphere at Easter Road has been tenfold better this season with them behind the goal.
How the fuck did they get permission to put all the fucking bamboo sticks with? Because before it's just been like normal sheet. Whereas with that, every single flag, like all the flags they had, all were attached to like bamboo.
Aye, because for waving them.
Aye, but I mean the fact it's an actual... Mate, you can't get in with a fucking bottle of juice. But they've effectively took in 3,500 sticks.
Props to them, by the way, because the display was good.
Display. Yeah. And like
when you think about where they came from in terms of, remember that one in the East when we played Rangers and it was the HFC.
Different shaded ones in that. Aye.
Compared to what they've got now, no, it's fantastic.
And like I said, the aesthetics, the limbs that you get for them being behind the goal, and when Iredale's goal goes in was class to see as well.
Yeah. Next up, Colin McLennan says, thanks to your alternative angle, I can't get that Joy Division song out my head. And now should Bill Foley be eating humble pie over him kind of bumping his gums over David Gray's appointment as head coach?
We're all eating it, mate. I think we all are. I think majority of us, when I say us, I mean like the sort of group chat that we've got, kind of bought into Gray because of who he is, but also acknowledged was he maybe just the easiest / cheapest option.
Yeah.
So no, we're all eating a big slice of it because he's proven he's proven me completely wrong. Completely wrong. Everything.
And you're happy to be
everything in
proved wrong,
terms of,
innit?
well, 1,000,000%. He was. I mean, regardless of how he could have still been manager, right? We could have been on a 15-game losing streak, and it will never ever tar how I feel about him as a person because of what he's done. Like, even the gift that you boys got me for my 30th is still there. Every single word transcribed for the cup final. Gray 2, happy 30th, Craig, with David Gray's signature on it. How I feel about that man will never ever waver.
If we'd have got beat yesterday, you'd have been fucking punching holes in it.
But but what he's managed to do in that time, not only how he's got us playing, how he speaks,
mentality,
mate, how he speaks in the media, he's so clear and concise with the message that he delivers. He's no like Montgomery
and Johnson.
Ken Johnson speaking in fucking
with his code red stuff.
Aye, code red, and the fucking 5th line, the 6th line, the linebackers, and Ken Maloney just fucking.
Maloney just said that he's super proud of everyone all the time.
He just speaks so well, and the way that, like I said, the way that he's got us playing, his in-game management now as well. Even yesterday when he brings on Hoylett, and one of the first things Hoylett does
take the ball to the corner,
controls the ball for fucking what seemed like came at a skyscraper, killed it stone dead, and then just toddles over to the corner.
I think the inclusion of Gale and Hoylett yesterday was, and I know we're kind of getting away from the question here, but the inclusion of Gale and Hoylett again shows how far David Gray's come in terms of making those in-game decisions, like you said, because that experience you can't get that apart from players who are experienced. That is the most stupid sentence I've ever seen in life.
But all Dwight Gale done yesterday was book Gerard Taylor 2 or 3 times as well.
And that's what you need. That's what you need to see the game out.
And that's all they had to do.
And that's what they were doing. And the fact that we're able to bring on players like Junior Hoylett and Dwight Gale in the closing stages of the game to try and see it out, but we can also bring on Dwight Gale and Junior Hoylett in closing stages of games to win them.
Like we did on Wednesday,
yeah, exactly. I don't really want to be drawing comparisons to a team who are in the bottom 6, but it's night and day compared to where Hearts are at, and they're bringing on nobodies.
And what I will say as well, one thing I liked that when Boyle went off, he gave the armband to Chris Cadden. And I think it's testament that obviously during the season we've had, obviously Newell's a captain, Boyle's a vice captain. When they weren't playing, O'Hora had the armband.
Hoylett had it on Wednesday night.
On Wednesday night when Hoylett came on, he took it. So there's obviously, the even now the leadership that's shown
all over the park
throughout that group is outstanding.
Yeah. Next up, Lorenzo says, after Grant's equaliser, we disappeared. I'm curious what David Gray said in the changing room. The guys came back out aggressive. And how amazing is it to sing Sunshine on Leith 2 games in a row?
Yeah.
Again, I think we touched on it earlier on about the change at half-time. I think it would have been really interesting to be a fly on the wall in both dressing rooms for both the team talks. So
Critchley would have been stood there with his cup of tea and fine china and a fine china cup, just sipping on it. Whereas I think Gray...
Critchley's a fucking weirdo, by the way.
Gray looks like he could just punch fuck out a door.
But I don't think he would.
No, but I think he's that would be almost that, you'd be looking at him thinking, oh fucking hell, he could go at any second here. Like
Ferguson. Sir Alex, not Barry.
Yeah, definitely not Barry. Although, just total flip side to that, a thing's re-emerged of Barry Ferguson's pre-Old Firm routines.
What was he doing?
Don't know if you've seen it, but he says that he used to. His routine before an Old Firm game, he used to go into the toilet for a piss, look in the mirror, and say to himself, "What the fuck are you looking at?" and punch the wall. And then he would turn back around, look in the mirror again, and go, "Let's fucking go then." And then he'd turn to the door of the cubicle of the toilet and go, fucking square going out and headbutt it. And then he would go back into the changing rooms and do 5 jumps, bringing his knees up to his chest.
You've made that up.
Mate, I promise you. I'll find it. Mate, I
Is it
promise
him
you.
talking about it?
He's obviously saying it to a journalist and they're writing it. I don't know if it's, you know how we used to do a column for the Daily Record?
Uh-huh.
I don't know if it's one of them they've written it down like it's a ghostwriter type thing, but
Christ almighty.
I swear to God, I'll find it. I'll find it and I'll show you.
That's heavy.
But I think Gray's got that aura about him where you think, fuck, he could go in a second.
Next up, Haley asks, would you rather Hearts to finish in the bottom 6 or another Derby post-split?
In the nicest way possible, I couldn't give a flying fuck about it.
I was thinking about this question earlier on and I was like, oh, maybe just in case they would beat us. But I don't really think we've got an awful lot to be worried about. We've beat them at their bit this season, we beat them at our bit.
I would usually have that fear as well, but now I'm of the opinion of I couldn't care.
And to be honest, I think they're up against it in terms of being able to get themselves into the top 6 because I think they've got Dundee United and Celtic.
I would actually love for them to finish in the bottom 6 purely because they would have 0 points out of 9 against us. They would have
1
0 wins out against. 1 point out of a possible 9, 0 wins out of a possible 3, and Critchley would have to take his team to Dingwall on a Wednesday night to play out an absolute fucking dead rubber.
Yeah.
That would probably be attended by about 12 Gorgie Ultras, and
they were very quiet for
scaffy tramps that are all over Twitter. Usually,
a lot of people who say that they're the best ultras. They say they're the best ultras, but they made fuck all noise. They were singing about Ollie Lee at one point.
That's when you know you're toiling in a derby when they're bringing out
the you lucky bastards. It should have been 10. I'm thinking, oh, come on now, it was 10 years ago. It doesn't matter now, does it?
Do you know what? It should have been, but it
wasn't. You didn't get an extra medal if you scored 10, you fucking freaks.
And then 4 years later, the one thing that you didn't want us to do, we done it anyway, so...
and you were 2-0 up. You could have stopped it.
Yeah.
You could have stopped it.
2-0 up.
I like it. Insert Alexis McAllister laugh here. To answer your question, Hilly, I'm with Craig. Couldn't care less.
Yeah.
If we get the chance to beat them again, brilliant. And if they finish in the bottom 6, also brilliant.
Yeah.
Callum says, no question, just a statement that Jack Iredale is the best footballer to ever exist. I think he's probably got quite a strong...
he's up there.
Strong case there, yeah.
Yeah, he's up there on current form. If Hibs win the Scottish and finish third, I will be extremely disappointed if he's not in the contention for the Ballon d'Or come the end of the year.
Do you think that goal is going to win goal of the season for Hibs?
Oh, that's a good...
I can't think of many better this season. Maybe Nicky Cadden's free kick against Aberdeen.
Cadden's free kick against Aberdeen was a peach. Did Levitt score against Celtic?
That was last season.
Or was that last season?
The only goals that we've scored against Celtic this season were Miko in the cup.
Oh, the header in the cup, aye.
That was a good goal as well, mind. The Triantis one against Motherwell was also good, where he picks up in the middle of the park.
And just drives and slots it, aye.
And then Gale at Tynecastle. Quite a lot, mate.
Did Newell score at Rugby Park?
Newell scored at Rugby Park. It was like a half cross.
Was that the cross that just flew in?
It was. I think it was. It was just
trying. The volley was last season, eh?
Aye.
Do you know what? Iredale's probably a good shout for goal of the season. Yeah. That or Nicky.
I think, especially considering who it was against, and
aye,
it was a derby winner and that. James Kinniburgh's got 2 questions. He says, if Jack Iredale, for whatever reason, isn't in the next Australia squad, then Steve Clarke had better be on the phone.
Yeah, I think
he's given himself a great chance.
When you look on current form,
he's got to be in there over Suter.
Nicky Cadden also has to be in the conversation, I think.
Do you think that we're too heavy left back wise though?
Yeah, that's
with Robertson and.
But
he deserves to be in the squad, doesn't it?
Taylor's not getting a game for Celtic now. Cadden's been unreal since he came in. We're toiling for right backs. Could we see the Cadden twins? That must stick in Nicky's craw a wee bit that
Chris has played for Scotland.
So they've definitely put themselves in contention anyway. But I think Iredale's probably fixed his colours to the Australian mast.
Yeah, I mean,
Triantis should.
Him and Triantis, I think, will be in the next Australia squad. But if not, and Iredale wants to play for Scotland, I think if it's a possibility, then he should be in the conversation for sure. I mean, Nicky Devlin got in.
Aye, true.
And he's hopeless. If he can get in, I can fucking get in. And I told him that, actually. I shouted at him when we played Aberdeen at home. We beat them 2-0. I shouted, Nicky Devlin, if you can play for Scotland, I've still got a fucking chance. I don't think he liked it. And James also says, closing the gap to second, David Gray's mighty cabbage.
We are now as close to Rangers as Rangers are to Celtic, which, given the start we had, is embarrassing for them.
That's really bad.
Embarrassing.
And then finally, Jamie Gordon says, Jack Iredale is the sexiest human alive. And what about that second half performance? Unlucky not to get a couple more?
I
think if the penalty's given...
Yeah, I don't think there was anything real clear. Chris Cadden had the shot that went right at Gordon, and Rocky had the header.
Boyle had a really good opportunity that he skewed quite far wide.
The volley that he snatched wide, aye. But I don't think there was much clear. Again, I said it when we spoke about the goal. It was going to take something like that from someone to win it.
Yeah, absolutely. And just before we wrap up, we've spoken a little bit about Sunday, but you're going. Yes. I'm going. I think most of the Ramble contingent is going. Am I being deluded, or do we have a really good chance?
I wouldn't say we have a really good chance, but we've got a chance.
As good a chance as any.
Yep. Yeah, we need to... The thing is, you can't just go there with the opinion of, we beat them recently, so we'll beat them this time. It's not going to happen. They're going
to work like that.
We, as good as we were last Saturday, they also had an off day, which need to happen. And it's very rare that they'll have 2 off days that quick in succession. Obviously, they bounced back. They put, 5 past Aberdeen on the Wednesday? And then they put 5 past St Mirren on Saturday.
Aye.
So they scored 10 goals in 2 games.
I said this in the group chat, though. They've used up all their goals.
And do you know what? With the backing that we'll have at Celtic Park, you never know.
2 words, Craig. Stranger things have happened.
Yep. That's 3 words.
Yeah, it is. You're absolutely right. I think that's a good place to finish up, don't you?
Yes,
thank you so much for joining me. We said that we would try and keep this under an hour, and we've gone for nearly 2 hours.
That's what. See, when you get 2 Mensa level football and IQ combined, and I mean Mensa by what's the IQ pass from Mensa? It's like 160. So say the combined IQ is 170. I make up at least 163 of that when it comes to football. You're the additional 7. I think I had some good points. Certainly think I was right about the non-penalty. To be fair, mate, a broken clock's right twice a day, isn't it? So.
Well, it was an absolute pleasure. I would say, actually, Ken, I would say it was a pleasure, but after you've just insulted my intelligence, I'm not really too sure it was much of a pleasure. But cheers for joining me. I appreciate it. And if you've got this far, thank you so much for listening. If you don't already, jump over onto the socials. We are on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. If we're on a social media, we'll be at the Hibs Ramble. Go and follow us on there.
Whatever you do, I'll give you your flowers now after that wee bit. If you haven't, go on the Ramble Twitter, and it's probably on TikTok as well. Watch the alternate angle that Leo puts together.
Go on it look at it on Twitter or Facebook, because TikTok have got like a really weird thing where they've like
Zoomed
taken
it,
all
like-
no, they've like taken all the music off it. So
Oh.
all the music that I'd like lined up is like so half of it's like quiet. It's quite shit on
Yeah.
TikTok. So if
On
you're going to
Facebook
watch
or-
it, go and look at it on Facebook or Twitter
Yeah,
because it's
go and watch it.
it's quite good.
There's a couple. There's a wee Looney Tunes reference. There's a Call of Duty Hitmarker reference. There's a Titanic reference. There's a Who Is Bro Waving It reference. And also my personal favourite, Alexis McAllister.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll give you your flowers for that, mate. It's very, very, very entertaining.
Mate, we need to stop winning big games because I'm running out of fucking ideas for these videos. I know I made a run from home back when we beat Aberdeen, like,
Yeah,
and then
We need to-
everyone's
Do you know what? Even when we do get beat, you're still going to have to put something out
I know.
just to cheer everybody up.
Yeah, exactly. Aye. Well, as good a place to finish as any. Yeah, like I said, follow us on the socials if you don't already, and we'll talk to you after the game on Sunday. See you later.
Let's get ready to rumble.